I'm Andrea Wong. Encourage you to learn Portuguese knitting, which is so much easier on your hands. And by the way, you're listening to the Knitting Boutique's Saturday Morning Breakfast Club. Olá, aqui quem está falando é Andrea Wong, encorajando você a aprender a maneira portuguesa de fazer tricô. Você está escutando agora o Café da Manhã aos sábados da loja Knitting Boutique.
For more information about the yarn, books, patterns, or industry designers discussed on our Saturday Morning Breakfast Club podcast, visit our website at knittingboutique.com or give us a call at country code and area code 1-410-553-0433. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Breakfast Club podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Joyce.
And you're listening to episode 79 of our podcast. We are here at the Aspen Y River Conference Center. We've just spent a full weekend at our Portuguese knitting retreat.
Mm-hmm. And we are full
Both
of knowledge and food.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. It's Sunday afternoon, and we were supposed to go pick up box lunches. And we're like, we've been eating...
It seems like nonstop, but it isn't.
Oh, I think it was. For me, it was.
Well, I think the beignet this morning kind of topped it off after a full breakfast, which was a continental breakfast, but one of the biggest continental breakfasts. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm wondering where they get the fruit from. It's just the freshest, wonderful fruit. Well, so while we're yammering about food, we actually have a guest who's sitting right beside us laughing at us.
Who also enjoy the food very much.
Andrea Wong was our instructor for the weekend.
Yes.
Andrea of Portuguese knitting fame. Good morning, Andrea.
Good morning.
How are you?
How are you doing? Good morning, Joyce.
Good morning.
I'm doing great. I am so happy, so thrilled to be here. Sad on the other hand because our weekend is over.
That's true.
Yeah.
However, we had such a great time, such a great class, such a great response. So
yeah,
very happy.
We made the most of this weekend.
We did. We did.
We knitted furiously. Yeah.
Yeah, and we do a lot of these retreats, and it's interesting by the time Sunday comes to see how far people are along with their project. This, by far, for me,
was the farthest as the classes I've been teaching, where people knit the most and learn the techniques the most immediately. You know, like I was saying before, I didn't have to go and reiterate. I would teach once and they would go and do it. And by this afternoon, everybody is halfway through the project already. They learn how to finish. They learn how to put the handles on the bag. And it was just like a sponge kind of students. They absorb everything. But what made me the most proud was the two newbies. And they warned me on Friday night when I got here. We never knitted. I just learned how to cast on this afternoon. And I'm thinking, okay, that's fine because you don't have any bad habits.
Right.
Well, they're halfway through the bag.
It's unbelievable.
I know, with 2-color knitting included. So
it was unbelievable. And we did interview them as part of this podcast.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so our listeners will get the chance to hear from Anne and Angela. But you're exactly right. Never had knitted before. And they saw us at one of our booths, one of our festivals that we had attended. And they saw the retreat and they talked to us and we said, well, as a new knitter, this is the perfect time to come and learn.
Yes.
And they believed us.
They're so excited.
And you're exactly right. They're halfway through with the project.
Yeah.
Knitting, purling, Portuguese technique, 2-color.
2-color knitting. They did. They learned the I-cord and they learned how to do applied I-cord now to finish. They made me very proud, and it's very rewarding to see a class like that and people really, had a good time, and they learn as much as they want to.
Right. And people were helping each other too.
Yes, they were.
They were doing a lot of that. If somebody got something at the table, you could hear them saying, well, let me show you how to do that. That was good too.
Right.
That's great reinforcement for them.
The other thing that I found fascinating, once Andrea taught folks how to do Portuguese knitting, and they were, knitting their rounds in the bag and, doing the color work, it was almost when you tried to teach them something else that you were interrupting them.
She was. Not almost. She was. Because we had a few more rows to go before we were
Exactly. It was like they weren't paying attention.
They
It's
were
like,
not. And I told them, just ignore me if you're not ready to go to the next step. And they
Right.
did, which was
Right.
awesome, you know, because they had what they wanted. I always come prepared to give loads of information. They pretty much got half of it because they don't want the other half. They wanted the other half in September.
yes, we should talk about that. So we had a second Portuguese knitting retreat weekend scheduled for September in Charlestown, West Virginia. And it was going to be just another intro to Portuguese knitting retreat. And these guys kind of co-opted that retreat.
Now the students decided how it's going to be when, not when, but what I'm going to teach. And that's how it's going to work. I think it's going to be awesome because that will give them a chance to go home and practice and give a chance of Portuguese knitting a fair chance to get the basics of it.
Right.
And then they will be ready to tackle other projects. And I think they gave us a suggestion this morning, which is just get a regular pattern and see how you would approach Portuguese style. I have this question all the time. How do you translate a pattern to Portuguese? How do you change the pattern? The answer is you don't have to do anything. But I will teach you from a regular reverie, how you put cables on it, lace. So I think it's going to be great.
I do, because they're going to get 6 to 8 months of practicing what you taught them this weekend. And then they'll be really ready for this more intensive learning.
Yeah, and I think that for those of you that are listening to the podcast, I know I have a lot of you out there asking me the same question. How do I get a regular pattern and translate into Portuguese? So that's your chance to knit along with us and see step by step how to do it.
Yeah, increases, decreases. Casting on for me, which I still haven't learned how to do the casting on. I was going to try to...
Casting on, biting off.
Yeah, I was going to try to monopolize some of your time this weekend to get my own private lesson.
That didn't work.
That didn't work.
No.
And now you've got to catch a flight, so we'll FaceTime each other.
We will. Or you anytime.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. It's been a wonderful weekend with you.
The same here.
So, I mean, every single time, Andrea.
Every single time.
We have a great time and we sell out every single time.
Wow, that's a privilege. Thank you.
Well, and we just thank you for joining us here.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me. Me too. Both of you.
Look forward to seeing you in September.
Perfect. I'll be here.
So we really did have a great weekend. We've talked about the Aspen Y River Conference Center before. This is our 4th time here, maybe?
Yeah.
And normally what happens at this retreat is we have 50 participants and we rent out both mansions. And it's really a instructor that's doing a discussion topic versus a teaching technique.
Almost more a lecture.
Exactly.
With some knitting, yeah.
Yep. So that's been our previous retreats at this location. In this particular case, we actually we limited it to half of that number because we knew it was a technique class. And so we had 26 participants versus 50, so half that number. And I think it worked out better.
Well, it was a different kind of thing. And the beauty of all being in one room working on the same thing, and Andrea's style, which is very much walk around, check in with everybody, was that nobody was left behind. Everybody made huge amounts of progress and could readily ask questions and then stop for snacks, of which there were many, and then come back to it again. And we knitted up until dinner.
Oh, you guys were knitting.
Like 6
knitting
o'clock.
Fiends. You really were.
Yeah.
And again, I encourage
I was truly bleary-eyed by the end because we just got into it.
Yeah, and I encourage you guys to take a look at the photos on the website. Literally, I mean, you have half-finished bags or half-finished cowls.
Right.
Just a lot of knitting. And is it because of the speed of Portuguese, you think, or what happened?
I think part of it. Well, I'm laughing because I was doing 2-color today, and I couldn't let go. I mean, I was so wrapped up in yarn, but I mean that's part of it, and you kind of get into a rhythm. And then you just keep going. And then the other thing, which was just so cool.
But you're not saying why you're laughing, because Joyce had to be fed her.
I had to have a friend help me with my coffee because I literally could not pick up my cup because I was holding onto my knitting. And I had 2 colors of yarn wrapped around my neck, one with the ball on one side, one with the ball on the other side, and the yarn was in my hands. And I couldn't let go. I mean, I was just, there I was. But we were trying to get certain parts done so that we were ready for the next set of instructions. So I think that was part of it, because there was yet another technique, and we wanted to know how to do that.
Right before the retreat ended.
Because we learned how to knit, and then we learned how to purl, but then you had several rows to go, no matter how you modified the pattern, to get to 2-color, to get to basically Fair Isle. And you wanted to know how to do that.
Gotcha.
So I think that was the impetus, because everybody wanted to get to wherever it was that they wanted to get to.
I see.
People had different goals, but everybody wanted to do more of something to get to the next step.
Yeah, it was an intense group.
Yeah, there were long, quiet spots.
There was. And it was funny because Andrea talked to me like halfway through the day yesterday, and she's like, I don't know if people are happy, and I'm like, no, they're fine. They're working.
Right.
and we've all been at the retreats where people aren't fine and aren't working.
Yeah.
That they've given up.
Right.
This is not going to be for me.
Right.
I'm
it's not
gonna,
relevant. I'm too tired, whatever.
Right. It's too hard.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah. And so folks stayed in their chair and kept going.
Right.
And like I said, beautiful, beautiful work.
Right.
And I do think when we talk about it being fewer people, from a logistic standpoint, I know that's very selfish, but from a arranging logistics standpoint, this was much easier for me as well, right? There's no bus from the mansion to this mansion.
Right.
What time's dinner? Do we have enough time in between dinner for that the bus, so
right.
I think next year we'll keep it to this limit. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it was fine. I mean, there was a lot of frivolity even in the midst of all of it.
Yes.
And I think there was a good opportunity to really get to know people. I mean, you didn't have to if you didn't want to, but you certainly could sit at different tables, and there weren't so many people that you stood no chance of really talking to everybody. And then you did the s'mores last night.
Oh, I know.
Which brought out the hardy folk who hadn't yet had enough to eat.
Right. So this facility has a huge fire pit right on the back balcony, I guess, or the back porch. I don't know, would it be called a porch? A mansion? Does a mansion have a porch?
This one has a porch.
And so we had dinner, and then right after dinner, many of us went right outside. The logs were blazing in the fire pit, and we had s'mores, and they weren't your ordinary s'mores. They had almond joys, Hershey, which I guess is the normal one, and peppermint. And this was after
bear the thought.
After we had homemade ice cream and apple crisp.
Yes. Plus dinner, of course.
Plus
snacks earlier, plus lunch, plus more snacks, plus yes.
But it was a beautiful evening. I was afraid it was going to be too chilly, and it was chilly, but you had the fire,
right?
And the sky was beautiful.
Yeah. We're right on the water. Right on the river, and it's always lovely to look at. I mean, so many of the places on the Eastern Shore are just breathtaking.
They really are. I think we take it for granted.
We do. And then when you have folks coming from out of state, and there were several people from very far away, and of course they'd never seen this before, and it was just, it's just so serene.
Yeah. So it's probably a good time for us to take a listen to hear what the participants had to say.
Knitting saved my life, because everywhere I go I knit, and going to a new country, learning a new language, all that stuff, it was really tough, but knitting always with me. So people start looking at me and asking me, why do I knit this way, or what is this, and why do you have your yarn tangle around your neck? They had never seen this. Being in a country that you are so lucky to have knitting world, you have knitting conferences, you have knitting classes, you have knitting cruises, you have knitting shops, you have knitting everything. I start participating in those worlds, so I start taking classes myself. And in 1996 6 or 7, I ended up going to Meg Swenson knitting camp. And Meg and Elizabeth Zimmerman were the ones that approached me looking the way I knit and asked me if I want to publish something about it. And I'm here sitting like you as a student, admiring. I'm a big fan of Meg Swenson, and she told me you should publish something. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about publishing or knitting or teaching or anything like that. But I was so excited about the idea because she has read in many books about this. So that's what she said. You have to let knitters know that there is another way. There is a simpler way, and people don't know it in this country. So back then, I was working in a local yarn shop in Ohio, and being with the Chinese last name, now I'm putting all together, being with the Chinese last name, they used to joke that there was no right or wrong way of knitting, but there was a Wong way. So it became the Wong way of knitting.
So I'm joined by 2 retreat participants, newbies for this weekend, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So how's it been?
Great.
What's been great about it?
Meeting the different people and learning a new skill. There's lots of people that have a lot of skills here.
Yeah, it's true. And they don't mind sharing. That's the beautiful part, right?
Absolutely.
New knitters?
Brand new knitter.
Like
I just learned yesterday.
how brave is it to come to a retreat and never having knit before?
Well, it's a lot easier when everyone's so friendly and helpful.
That's true. That's true. So what made you decide to come?
We saw you at a show and said, that looks like fun.
I think you're like the 4th person that said, I saw you at a show. So I must have been convincing, right?
Yes, you were. Plus all the samples. You're like, oh, wow, this sounds so cool. Let's do it.
And so far, I've told the truth, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's always good.
It's been amazing. And the place is amazing.
It is, isn't it? So is this your first knitting retreat that you've been to as well?
Yes.
Wow. So who said, okay, so you listened to me do my little spiel, right, at the festival, and you walked away from my booth, and who said, we really ought to do this?
It's me. I'm Lucy and she's Ethel, and I'm always dragging her into things.
And you're like, I think we could do this.
Yep.
It's like, I'm in if you're in.
And so did you sign up right away, or did you take some time to try to think about it at that point?
I think we signed
pretty
up
much
fairly
right away, yeah.
immediately.
I love this. I love this. Okay, so then you're, seeing me sending emails that says, okay, this is what you're going to need. This is the supplies. Are you getting nervous at that point?
Yes. The homework is what really scared me because I came here to learn how to knit, and I was like, how am I going to do the homework?
The homework was to cast on 100 stitches and then knit 5 rounds.
Which sounds like climbing a mountain for someone who's never knit before.
That's right. And it also was join in the round first. So you had to join it and then knit 5 rounds.
Right.
Yes, I could bet.
And then the long tail cast on, I'm like, there's different cast ons? So,
why didn't you send me an email? I'm like, Diana, I'm panicking here. What,
I don't know.
So talk about your morning. How's it been? Talk about what you've done, kind of the process.
I'm moving right along. Once you can figure out the tension, how to work the tension around your neck for the Portuguese knitting, it just moves smoothly along the needles.
And Angela, while she's talking to us, she's actually holding up her, I think you're at like 7 rounds now.
Yeah, I think so. 5, 6, or 8, yep.
Yeah, so she's holding up her 8 rounds, and you started it this morning, right? So from...
Which is a lot for me.
Well, yeah, it's from someone who's never knitted before.
Right.
You've cast it on, you've joined in the round, you've knitted 8 rounds, and you've done all of this Portuguese style knitting.
Yes.
Yay, Angela! And Anne, how about you? How's it been for you then?
It's been a lot of fun. I think it's a lot easier. It just seems like it goes smoothly.
Yeah, it really is.
So I'm probably not as far along as Angela, though.
Well, I think, and hopefully what I said when you saw me in the booth, is that if you've not knitted before, this is the exact time to take a class like this, because then you don't have the bad habits.
Right, exactly. I'm learning right from the beginning.
So I guess the question is, are you going to come back to the next retreat?
Shoot, yeah, we were just talking about that. We're coming back. Can't miss it now that we've been here.
We're hooked.
Right.
Well, I'm so glad that you guys came. I'm so glad you listened to me at the booth. And I'm glad you're having a great weekend with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you. We will.
Karen came all the way from Tennessee to join us. Hi, Karen.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing great, Diana.
Good. So this is your second retreat with us?
Yes, it is.
You came to our swing knitting retreat. Was it last year? Or the
Last year.
Last year. So what made you decide to switch retreats?
This is something I've always wanted to learn how to do. I like being challenged and learning something new. And I knew I'd always have a great time at yours of retreats.
And have you had a great time?
Oh, yes.
It's been fun, hasn't it?
It has been very fun.
Good. Let's talk about Portuguese and then we'll talk about the fun. What do you think about the technique?
I really like the technique. There's a lot less movement, and it seems like it flows a lot better for me.
Yeah, I find the same thing, and it's faster too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you done the purling yet?
No, I haven't quite gotten there yet.
Oh my gosh. Wait till you do the purling. I mean, Portuguese, like you said, it's faster. But when you do Portuguese purling, it's just, you just zoom. You don't knit anymore. You'd rather purl than knit. So how many hours was your flight?
Well, the total travel time was about 5 hours because of layovers.
Wow.
Yeah. I live in Germantown, Tennessee, just outside of Memphis.
Gotcha. You don't have a Tennessee accent, so do you?
No, I've had some people tell me I don't sound very Southern, but my mom and dad both grew up in Mississippi, so I don't know where it came from.
And what's been the best part so far for you?
I guess I should say learning, but I just enjoy being with all the ladies. We're always having fun and laughing while we're learning, so.
It's a good group.
It is a very good group.
Yeah, I mean, you can come to some retreats and you're like, yeah, this was fun, but that's not like our retreats.
No. Both of the retreats I enjoyed very much.
Good.
They've been great. Great places to stay. I love seeing this part of the country since I'm from down south.
Sure.
So.
And we're staying in a mansion.
Yes. All to us.
Right? And we can look and the water's just to
See
our
the
right.
river.
Yeah, we can see the river. Did you wake up this morning and see the sunrise? Are you on the back side of the house or are you on the front side of the house?
I'm on the back side, but I was still sleeping when that happened.
Okay, tomorrow, just take a peek.
Open my shutters.
Yeah, just a peek. You need to go back to bed. But you've got to see that sunrise on the water.
I'll have to do that tomorrow.
It's really beautiful. It's really pretty.
Yeah, I love just looking out at the river.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gorgeous, relaxing.
Exactly. So you coming back next year?
Yes, ma'am. I
Are
will
you?
be.
Well, we can't wait to see you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am joined by Faith. Hi, Faith. How's your weekend been?
It's been a great weekend. Made a lot of new friends, and I'm learning some new skills that should be helpful.
Well, you've got this beautiful double knitting shawl on. It's gray and black. You've got the two images reverse colored.
Yes.
So Faith has got some skills here.
I've been knitting 3 years, and I've just always taken the tactic of don't be afraid of it, just do it. So I learned how to double knit. This is my second project.
So you like double knitting?
I do.
I do too. I love it.
It's a great tool. It's very warm, which is good after this winter.
Sure. So what do you think of Portuguese?
It is great. As a continental knitter, I wasn't too sure. It's a little frustrating right now because I am so fast at continental knitting, but it's coming along quickly. And I can see that once I finish my current continental knitting projects, I think I'll be doing this full time.
Yeah. Have you done purling yet?
I have done purling. I did 3 rows of purling, and I've switched back to knitting, and they're both very simple to do. After 35 years of crocheting, I just had to keep the yarn in that hand. So I can throw and do English, but I prefer continental and now Portuguese. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. So what made you decide to come to the retreat?
I was at Knitter's Day Out and saw the wonderful display, and I took a card and went and looked at the retreats. I try and do 1 retreat a year. And this was something I wanted to learn. I have videos, and it's better to learn it in person.
Sure. Plus, you get to eat the food.
Exactly. And they have been so accommodating. I have a food allergy, and they have it labeled. They're making sure they tell me, so I truly appreciate that.
Oh, that's good. So have you made any decisions about next year?
I know Vicky Twig, so I might come for the switch stitch class,
Yeah.
which I think might be this year yet. But
we're going in October in the fall on the Eastern Shore, so.
that'll be nice. I just have to check with my husband because my 20th wedding anniversary is Halloween.
You'll be back in time.
Yeah, but I don't know what he has planned. He might be doing it on the weekend before, so I need approval first.
Understood. Well, we're so glad that you joined us. And I'm glad you saw us at Knitters Day Out.
Yes, it's great. It's a great event. If anybody has a chance to go, I highly recommend it. It took me 7 years to get there, even though I'm 4 miles away, so.
Did you walk?
You know, it's funny. I have done that walk before. I walk for giggles anywhere from 5 to 10 miles a day, so.
Oh, do you really? Yeah, we talked about this last night.
Yes, I have border collies. They need lots of exercise.
Wow, and how many border collies do you have?
2, Meg and Cosmo.
And who's taking care of Meg and Cosmo today?
My husband. They're probably not happy, but he is.
Well, Faye, thank you so much for joining us.
Great. Thank you so much.
So people really did have a great time. You can hear by those interviews. We also had a chance to actually talk to next year's instructor for our retreat back here at Aspen.
Tanis Gray. And Tanis is going to lead us through mosaic knitting. And we had a sample of the cowl. And so Tanis talked about mosaic knitting, which Tanis is very, 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 very much into color work, also lace, but color work. And this is a slip stitch kind of color work, introduced really by Barbara Walker many years ago. And you don't have to really worry about the floats, and it's very accessible color work.
It is. It's. I think accessible is a good word. I'd also say flexible, if that could be a word for it. It's just not as stiff, I think, I find, with those strands and those floats gone.
Right, it's not.
You have taught mosaic before, right?
Right. Oh, I love it.
Okay.
I love it. I mean, it's much more geometric.
Okay.
Fair Isle, which is two color also, but Fair Isle has a lot of stars and reindeer and very Scandinavian and many other countries as well. Peruvian, obviously, from what Andrea was showing us. But mosaic lends itself to lots of geometric shapes and patterns.
Okay.
And it's just fun to watch things grow. And Barbara Walker's book has a lot of hand-drawn charts because she originated charts, if I remember correctly. And she certainly originated mosaic charts. So there's lots of little squares and dots. It's just cool stuff.
Oh, so it should be fun next year.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be great. I think I'd have to go back and look at the numbers, but more than half of today's participants did sign up to come back next year. I think the discussion or the debate was, do I sign up for mosaic next year or do I sign up for advanced Portuguese in September? And some folks signed up for both. So.
Right. Well, and one of the things that I think would work quite nicely is that you could use Portuguese knitting technique, which is, to me, and I wish Andrea was still here, but I knit continental, I knit English, and now I kind of knit Portuguese. And it's a way of knitting. It doesn't create different stuff, it's just a different way of knitting. And I think it lends itself to mosaic knitting as well.
Well, that will be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, she said she was going to sign up for the mosaic class as well.
Right, Andrea will be there. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can find out.
We'll have fun.
So for a preview for our next show, we're going to have our new Maryland showcase.
That's right. So stay tuned for that. And we also will be talking about our
First annual
Maryland Indie South, where invited indie dyers will come to talk about their craft and sell their yarns and enhance everybody's experience if you're flying into BWI Airport.
Hey, it's Spencer from the Fiberists. We are here at Maryland South Indie Festival. We've just finished setting up our booth, so I'm going to do a quick booth tour for you. So just to show you, here's the door where you come in. Next to us across the way is Wandering Wool. She's still setting up. And Kim Dyes Yarns, and the Knitting Boutique is in the back. Blue Heron will be past us, but they're not here yet. So let me show you what we have with us today. So we're gonna start in heaviest weight and work down. So starting right here, we have our Autumn and Bulky. You can see here a bunch of different samples. Come on out. We're here today. The event runs from 10 to 5. We're also here tomorrow from 10 to 5. So if you're headed to Maryland Sheep and Wool, stop by and check it out. Thanks, everyone.
We were glad to see so many of you who did the little sojourn from the airport when you got your rental car. Stop by and visit us before you went on to Sheep and Wool.
It's been a great show, Joyce.
Thanks, Dan.
For more information about the yarn, books, patterns, or industry designers discussed on our Saturday Morning Breakfast Club podcast, visit our website at knittingboutique.com or give us a call at country code and area code 1-410-553